This is an ad by BetterHelp. What's your perfect night? Maybe you're settled at home alone or with loved ones, covered in blankets, about to watch your favorite show. It's cozy, it's calm, and you're ready for a perfect night in. Therapy can feel a bit like that, a place for comfort, a time when you replenish your energy and take care of yourself. And hey, you can even do it without leaving that same cozy couch. This season is the perfect time to give therapy a try, right from the comfort of home. With BetterHelp, get matched with a tailored therapist based on your needs and preferences entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find comfort this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. What's your perfect night? Is it curling up on the couch for a cozy, peaceful night in? Therapy can feel a bit like that, your comfort place where you replenish your energy. With BetterHelp, get matched with a therapist based on your needs, entirely online. It's convenient and suited to your schedule. Find comfort this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com to learn more and save 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Los Reyes Mexican Grill here, Wesley at Nicholson. Ready? Welcome to the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kinch is back in the studio. Hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas as we got the little bit overcast skies and some, I don't know, kind of muggy, kind of humid temperatures. So hope that you had a nice time with your family, your friends, however you celebrate the holiday. Jimmy, how was your Christmas?
That was great. It was good.
We had a lot of stuff a lot of games on Christmas Day with 2 NFL games, 5 NBA games, and this was
whose Netflix account did y'all use?
Well, I've got one. I thought that it worked a lot better than the Mike Tyson pillow fight.
You'd hope so.
Well, yeah, I couldn't have been much worse. What did I tell you? That fight was inconsequential, other than just something to do on a Friday night. But it did provide a real test for Netflix's bandwidth, whatever you want to call it.
Trial run.
Yeah. I said it the day after that fight, the Monday after that fight. I said, look, Roger Goodell was on the phone with whoever the very next morning going, this can't happen on Christmas Day. Ours was fine. We did not have any problems with it.
The game sucked.
Well, the game sucked. That's not Netflix's fault.
No, they were. The NBA was better.
A lot better, especially if you stayed up. The very end of the Lakers-Warriors was terrific.
Every game was good.
Yeah.
Every star played. How about that, huh?
Well.
Oh, no, Matt, crazy how they can manage to play.
It's a Christmas miracle, Jimmy.
Everybody Christmas miracle.
Healthy.
Yes, an NBA Christmas miracle. So, everybody's healthy. Even Embiid played great. That was a great game, man. I mean,
it was.
Wemby was outstanding. I mean, they had the Knicks on the rope, man. It's kind of the Knicks. It's just they love going to the games on Christmas Day, even when they're terrible. They're good this year. They were good last year, and they've kind of carried it over. It's the Karl Anthony Towns thing. You scratch your head a little bit on that experiment because he's such a talent, but he's such a loser. Never wins anything.
He's got a coach that's going to push him. We didn't know how that was going to work. Okay, Thibs ain't for everybody. And that could have been a real – it's worked so far. I mean, you're 2 months into this experiment, but it's working so far.
Well, you've tried the other ways. The coaches that he can just walk over. How'd that work? They don't win anything.
It didn't work at all.
Carmelo Anthony, Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, those guys are super talented but losers.
It's not guaranteed to work the other way. Some guys just go to hard coach and say, man, no, I'll take my check. And it's worked so far with him. And then they made some really significant moves. Mikal Bridges obviously, stood out yesterday, but they made some real significant moves to shake things up, and it's finally worked. And they are doing it, dare I say, with an awful owner that the coaching and the players have been able to overcome. That took them a long time. But so far, looks pretty good.
Yeah, that game was good. Celtics in Sixers was good. Golden State and Lakers was phenomenal. What's the one I'm missing in there?
Suns and Nuggets late.
No, that late, but the other one that was
Mavs and.
That was a good game.
I missed most of that one. That was when that's when we were doing our Christmas lunch. I missed most of that. Ant-Man was playing now Luka got hurt. But Kyrie went nuts. Mm-hmm.
It was just the NBA put on a show yesterday, and I'm just, that's normally not like that. But there's just those games were over early for KC and the Steelers, and
the Ravens in Texas was even worse. The Texans had an opportunity.
Still on Stroud over Young.
Yeah, but he's regressed in year two. Young has gotten better. Young's gotten better in year two, and Stroud's gotten worse. Yes, I'm still on Stroud long term.
Did you watch him yesterday?
I did. He's been bad.
When's the last time that Young's been that bad?
September, to open the season.
Okay.
He got put on the bench, and who's
got they both have good running backs. They both have decent. That's kind of a wash, Hubbard and Mixon, that running game, but no comparison in the weapons.
Well, here's the thing: Carolina has really no weapons. You're getting maximum out of a limited Chuba Hubbard. I think he's a decent back, but nothing special, and an aging Adam Thielen. The Texans, when they're healthy, have weapons. They missed Nico Collins for the middle of the season. Tank Dell is out now, but I'm not going to make that as an excuse for Stroud. He's regressed.
Collins is playing now.
Collins is playing now. Dell is out. Earlier, Dell was playing, and Collins
Young doesn't
was out.
have anybody close to Collins.
He doesn't. He doesn't have anybody close. I don't think he's got anybody close to Dell, really. I think Dell is better. And Mixon is better than any back that they've got, for sure.
Hubbard has done pretty good. I got to be fair.
He's maxed out. He's maxed out his ability. They're getting the most that they can out of him.
Well, they're getting a lot out of Mixon too.
But when they're both at their best, Mixon is the far better back.
I think because Houston's offensive line is a little bit better, obviously, than Carolina. Well, that does help the running game.
It helps a ton.
But no, man, don't sleep. Hubbard, Charlie, what is the expectant rate for yards? He's way up there, man.
He's having a fantastic
I've seen him
year
take balls, especially near the goal line, where he has no blocking, and somehow he gets in the end zone. I think it's a lot closer than you think.
The play, the sequence in the game where Houston had an opportunity to make it. They get down and it's 4th and goal.
Both teams had in both games. Yeah. The Pittsburgh the touchdown was called back, and they turned it over the next play.
That's right. The Texans are playing 4th and goal from the 3.
Right.
They went for it the 4. And they don't make it. It was 10-2 at that point. If they score
10-8, 10-9, 10-10.
Somewhere in that area, and you got a ball game. Now I think Baltimore would have won anyway. They dominated the second half, but at least you got a fighting chance. Houston and Pittsburgh have some similarities in that they're both going to be in the playoffs, and neither one of them are really capable of going anywhere.
The difference is we've been waiting for this Pittsburgh run can't last. All right, Wilson's improved, but come on. We're kind of waiting for this. Houston, they've been struggling for a while, and it was, they've won games without having 200 yards, like the Miami game. Miami just handed them that game, and some others. But I think the Houston fade, collapse, whatever you want, slide, I think it's a little bit more of a surprise. They were so promising, and in the offseason, they said, man, because the defense is good. Anderson's playing great. Help me out. Who else is on that defense?
Well, Petrie, who they lost early in the season, was an absolute find in the second round.
No, they got the kid from LSU, right, from Minnesota, right?
Daniil Hunter,
Yeah.
Derek Stingley, Henry To'oTo'o
Yes.
has been a real
No,
nice
the
find
defense
for them.
has- they
They've
got
got
some
players. Here's my thing about
Stroud
why
is just so bad this year. He's not he's bad.
he's had a real regression. Here's why Houston's a bigger disappointment to me than Pittsburgh, from what I expected at the beginning of the season. Pittsburgh's in a division with Baltimore, who's always good, and the Bengals, who should be much better than what their record is. Houston's in a division with Jacksonville and Tennessee, who are both absolutely atrocious, and the Colts, who have got a little something but are limited by what they have at quarterback. Houston should win that division, and they did, but they should win it in a walk. They should win that division and have real hopes for the playoffs. Well, they won the division. Do you have any hopes that either one of these teams are going to win a playoff game? No, I don't either. Now, the AFC playoffs at the top, I can make a case for KC, Baltimore, Buffalo to win the to go to the Super Bowl out of there. But
Houston gets a home game, right?
Yeah, they won the division.
Yeah,
they clinched the division. So, but I don't have any.
But they'll take the strongest wild card. They'll lose.
And the strongest wild card as of right now would,
Pittsburgh?
Today it would be Pittsburgh. So I guess if they end up playing each other, one of them's got to win. But you know the point I'm making is neither one of these teams scare you to make a run in the AFC playoffs. Like in the NFC, whoever doesn't win the division between Detroit and Minnesota could still go to Super Bowl, right? Now Detroit's got a ton of injuries on the defensive side, but they could. Mm-hmm. The loser out of Detroit, Minnesota, their chances versus Pittsburgh.
You'll give Minnesota a chance too. A Green Bay.
Absolutely. All three of those teams.
Nobody out of the West is really. I mean, they want to try and sell us on the Rams. Come on, man.
No,
Jets could easily beat the Rams.
Nobody out of the West, nobody out of the South, and it's Philadelphia. I think Washington could win a playoff game if under the right circumstances. It would take.
Washington is this year. It was last year's Houston.
Yes, perfect analogy, man.
But they won't get a home game. Remember, they got that home game against Cleveland.
Right. No, Phillies. Right now, it would be, let's see, they would probably end up, well, let's say if Washington had to go to Atlanta or to SoFi to play the Rams, they could win those games. They could
sure.
We're going to see a preview of that on Sunday night, Washington and Atlanta. Where is that game? I've forgotten. Those teams could win games in the. That team could win a game in the playoffs. That game's at Washington. It wouldn't be in Washington if they played in the playoffs, but in the AFC, no, it's really, really top heavy. Now, the team I would give like I said, an outside opportunity to win a game would be the Bengals. But Kansas City winning yesterday and clinching home field advantage really hurts them because now Kansas City's got no motivation to play their guys in Week 18.
Oh, but you got to
beat Denver first.
You need a lot. Man.
Yeah, you got to beat Denver even before you get to that.
Right. I mean, it's at Cincinnati that doesn't belong. They lost how many close games? How many? They don't belong in the playoffs. I get it. They're dangerous if they can get at least mediocre play out of their defense, which they kind of been getting a little bit more. I mean, yeah, Burrow, that offense is unbelievable. But, I mean, just all of the bad call or 50-50 call, whatever you want to say, in the Kansas City game. I mean, the Chargers game on Sunday night. I mean, we go so many games. Baltimore in overtime. Baltimore when they blew the two score lead. Patriots right out the chute. Although they're really kind of never in that game. I mean, they should beat them.
They're the Ole Miss of the NFL. When they're right, they look the part. But they lost too many games they're not supposed to.
I don't know
You're
about that.
Tell me about line of scrimmage.
Ole Miss's roster is way more talented in relation to the rest of the better teams in college football.
That's where my analogy breaks down. My point being, they lost games that they should not have lost. Okay, Ole Miss shouldn't have lost to Kentucky.
You lost close games, but when you can't stop anybody, you should lose. I mean, they're terrible. They're the Ole Miss of the past that couldn't stop a nosebleed. But no, it's not like, well, I came away, man, they're just way better. I mean, they weren't better than New England when they played them. They couldn't block New England. I mean, so now are they better now than New England? Sure they are. But when they played them, I just wonder what with Lamar Jackson. He's got 2 MVPs, but he's not going to get it this year. But he's having his best year of his career.
Sometimes that happens.
So is that fair? Because is he going to be penalized because he is the carryover? He has struggled so much in the postseason. Should that affect it? Is it fatigue? Had he not won one already, would he be more in position to get it this year? And what's the thing? What do we know about Lamar? He can run, right? Okay, but is he going to be more settled in the pocket? And the guy that is one guy that has completely changed that because he's handing the ball off to that guy. And he doesn't have to run at all. So he is focused. He was forced to improve as a passer, which he has. He is so much more comfortable in that pocket. And we know you can run. You don't have to work on that. That's natural. Boom. You can. I mean, the guy making his first start can tuck it and run at any point. But, man, he is so much better. His accuracy and you point, the numbers are sick. The passing numbers are absolutely sick.
No, they are. I think that the reason that he's not getting as much run is that Buffalo for most of the season, he and Allen are both having their best years. Well, Buffalo has been ahead of Baltimore for most of the season. Now, Baltimore's put on a run here. They won 4 out of 5. It looks like now for the first time. They're in first place in the division by themselves for the first time all year, right? I don't even know if they were in first place in September. I don't think that they were. And I know they weren't because they lost their first 2 games out of the chute. So Lamar has had to deal with being in second place the whole season, whereas Allen has been up at the top. That's why I think Allen has been the front runner for the MVP award for, about a month now? Maybe a little bit more than a month. And Buffalo's still got a better record than them. Hey, it happens that way. Sometimes with individual awards and team stuff, Lamar is having his best year. I cite this stat all the time. Chipper Jones was an All-Star 7 out of 8 years. The one year he wasn't an All-Star in that stretch, he was the MVP of the league. So it's just stupid stuff like that.
Well, the All-Star, I mean,
they're
tabulating the votes or whatever before the halfway point of the season.
If Lamar Jackson, if Buffalo and Baltimore had the exact same record and it had been that way the whole course of the season, I think Lamar would have probably a slight edge on Allen, but it's really close.
I mean, I think it's a regular season award, but I think the playoffs, which obviously mean more. I mean, if your play dips as much as his has when you get to the playoffs, I think it should. I think it should matter. It should hurt him.
And Lamar's only going to be judged on his playoff performance now. Because he's been so good in the regular season and still is.
Everybody's waiting.
Yes, you have to do it when the lights are brightest.
They're talking about it right now. We're live over here at Los Reyes. We're open. Yes, indeed. We're open over here, man. You've got some family in town. You're getting away a little bit from the kind of the holiday fare, the casseroles and all that, and just want to come by and, meet some friends and hang out. Happy hour is every day, 2:30 to 6:30, including $8 12-ounce margaritas, a rock surf of frozen. So we got some we got bowl games all day. So, hey, come on by over here. A great extensive selection and love the fresh tortillas where you get the tacos or you can do. They got a great guacamole over here, but it's just a great meeting place, man. Great meeting place. You haven't been here, man. It looks great since they renovated it a while back. So come by. The staff is always good. We're open over here at Los Reyes for lunch and dinner throughout the today and the holiday weekend.
Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You can always get the show on demand, 104.5 ESPN.com, the LouisianaSports.net. And, of course, we got the Handycast up on YouTube. You can take a look at some of LSU's portal prospects. That's up right now on YouTube. The Christmas season is one of optimism, Jimmy, and you walked in, my mom, eternal optimist, wonderful woman, okay? And she says, so, We did a Christmas Eve thing this year, so the night before we went down to stay. Said, hey, we can watch the Saints. I went, oh, Mom. Mom, you don't want to watch the Saints on Monday Night Football? I said, put it on the TV. But look, this is you want to be in a good spirit. You want to be in. Well, no, I didn't think it would be that bad. No team's been shut out in the NFL all year. I didn't think it would be that bad. But I did not expect. The Saints were the biggest underdog they have been since 1994 on Monday night. So I wasn't expecting much, and I got even less than I was expecting. And God bless her. She's about halfway through the first question. She's like, "This is really bad." I said, "Mom, I told you." Okay.
No, this is actually very good because the way, the structure of the front office, it's compromise because it's family, and you really need it to be really, really bad to get the attention of your owner, and Miss Gale's been pretty good at at reading the room, but she has voluntarily put her in a spot where the organization is compromised, and she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to upset "quote unquote" family, but this might grab her attention. And that this thing needs to, and we talk about roster stuff. No, the whole GM scout. This thing needs a purging.
The GM's got to go first. If he doesn't go, the rest of it is, you're putting lipstick on a pig at that point. If Mickey Loomis is allowed to oversee
he's
this,
number one.
If he's allowed to oversee this rebuild, then there's no hope.
No, that's right.
There's no hope. If you
and
do,
so do how many season ticket holders say, "Nah, I'm done"? With that.
Season tickets it's a tricky thing because the
long time you and I in an analytical spot. Yes.
The long-time season ticket holders tend to hold on to them even in the bad years. We saw that during Ditka and Hazlitt because they don't want to give up their seats.
Oh, Charlie, there were some games.
You had, they don't go, but they still buy the tickets in a lot of cases.
And then Ditka and Hazlitt, they were losing some. They were.
Okay, I'm not going to say that you don't lose any. But are you going to lose the majority of them? I can't say that.
The post-Katrina Peyton thing put it on a totally different level.
And
they were going to Jackson in Shreveport and playing preseason games. They're not giving that money away now. Okay? But when you say, this is bags over the head type of,
The reason that we've been rooting for this to happen is because Gail Benson has to have it made painfully obvious to her that it's not working. The same thing on the other side of the building where the Pelicans now had the second worst record in the league. It would take something like that because the worst thing that could have happened was you limp along and you get to 7 or 8 wins and it's like, oh, well, if we just get these guys back. And if they have that press conference in 2 weeks and Mickey Loomis goes up there and says, well, what did you expect? We lost our quarterback. We lost our receivers. We lost, guys on our offensive line. No, that's not the problem. You are the problem.
Well, he's not going to admit that, I suck, I'm giving up my job.
He can't be at the press conference. It's got to be a different press conference. It's got to be a press conference with the owner saying, we are going in a new management decision.
We agree with that, Charlie. We agree. I mean, it's obvious, okay? But we're trying to get in the head of Miss Gale here.
Well,
and this helps. That embarrassment on Monday night, the first shutout all year, that level of loss and in poor showing, embarrassment, that might give her a chance.
What jettisoned Dennis Allen? The loss to the Panthers, right? That was the final straw.
Yeah, they were the worst team in the league at that time. And oh my gosh,
and Mickey Loomis didn't want to make a move. Gail Benson stepped in. Now she doesn't want to make a move on Mickey Loomis. Like you said, that's family. But sometimes, you gotta make that move. Maybe this, okay? This is a standalone game, and I'm sure there were a lot of holiday gatherings getting around going, hey, it's the game that's on. Go ahead and put the game on. To be embarrassed like that, maybe this will spur her.
People in New Orleans who know how close they are don't think there's any shot.
I know. That's why I have been hoping for something like this kind of
This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that was – now, this is the part in the show where you sell me on Spencer Rattler.
Max isn't here today. I'm sorry. Was that my role today? I must have missed that. I didn't get the memo. No, I'm sorry.
It's early. I don't think he's going to see 20 starts, Charlie.
It would take an injury
Don't you think?
Yeah. Look, he showed a little bit of problem. We watched him in South Carolina. We watched him in Oklahoma. He was not going to.
There's some people that know football that were kind of that say, "Hey, man, I like him." There's some people.
He's got some talent. Okay, I won't just I won't say that he doesn't, but Spencer Rattler, since the first time I watched him in Oklahoma, has always left me going,
throwing all fastballs.
Yeah, I just don't see the big giant upside that everybody else does, and I was like, maybe I'm the one that's missing it. And every now and then he would throw in a game like that one against Tennessee that you go, okay, well, maybe there's a little something there. But no.
Check out Tennessee's defensive numbers.
Yeah, they were bad. In the secondary, they were bad that year.
They were.
The quarterback of the future is not in the building. I mean, it's just not. Sorry. Yeah. Oh. I wish he was.
Yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get every time you call 296-0060. Our great team at Legacy Title wants to wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, and Michael Platt. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody choose but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title.
Live from Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's time. It's now Colucci time. Dwayne Colucci is back to give his best picks on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Colucci, first of all, last week, man, I was less than 100%. I didn't know what I was. A sinus infection was taking over. But anyway, but you know, when we're kind of you know, it's after Christmas. We're not exactly, you know, Carl Lewis in the 100 right now. We're more Frank Shorter in the marathon. All right, so we're kind of slow moving today. But damn it, when that horn hits, pow, boy! I mean, we ready to get in the gates again.
Frank Shorter reference. Wow.
Huh? Yes, indeed. Back in the
guys. That was Christmas.
Christmas is good, man. You know, got to do the church and the dinner and the dad and the son, and so, you know, it was cool. It was, you know, it's what it should be with some friends, and you know, Charlie got to play Santa Claus with all the little ones running around, so sipping on his Pappy Van Winkle. How about you? What was happening? Was it a big gathering with the Colucci fam or what?
Yeah, we did. We had friends and family over. There was about, I want to say, 10 of us all together. Not overwhelming, but it was a huge dinner. A lot of Johnny Walker Blue and Gold flowing, and we had a nice porchetta from Pat LaFrida. We also had the Max and Meatballs, as we always do. My mom made an incredible spread. I can't thank her enough. It's amazing how she keeps going, guys. I can't believe it, but... yeah, we had a great time and tons of food, and, you know, it was a good holiday. A little football, little hoops, and everybody was very happy and in a festive mood.
How about your Knicks, huh? I mean, have you been...
They played like terrible, but they won. I mean, you know, Wemby went off, but, you know, Towns could...
Yeah, well, Wemby's a problem now. That guy's pretty good. I mean, he's not
a problem.
Yeah, man, he's, you know, if he can hold up, huh, Charlie? I mean, he's a problem, man. He is, golly, I mean, you can't make a shot around him. He's so long, he can block everything, and he's agile. If he could just put on a little bit of bulk, a little bit of muscle to try and support that frame.
I've never seen anybody like him. You know, it was. I remember when Manute Bol started shooting threes. Remember that end of his career?
It was a clown show, though.
Yeah, this guy is what Manute would have looked like if Manute could shoot threes. You know, I've never seen anybody like him.
Are you worried about Karl Anthony Towns, who's been such a headache, such a to deal with? He's talented, but you think Thibodeau is the right guy to try and get the best out of him to try and win games?
Well, you know, if anybody, Tibbs is right there. He's a great head coach. It's more, like you said, Towns. I mean, I didn't like the trade in the offseason, I'll be honest with you. turn your back on Randall, who definitely played his heart out for us. He had some injuries down the stretch last year, but you can't do anything about that. And we had the Villanova trifecta there, and you know how Dante felt about the trade. So, I think it was a gamble on both sides. I would say that definitely Tibbs can get the most out of this guy. But, we have several other good and serviceable players. I mean, OG is really good. We know about Brunson. We made some decent acquisitions in the offseason, with Payne, Bridges, those guys. So, the Knicks, they're not too deep. That's the whole problem. And, you don't have Mitchell Robinson there to complement. So it does become a problem if Towns gets into foul trouble. And you saw what was, a young talent like Wembanyama could do to him. And Wemby's just a beast, so, he's definitely, it's funny how, Charlie was just touching upon Manu Bol. This is what a player of that size looks like when they could play basketball. Manu Bol, was very limited with his basketball skills, yet this kid is full circle. So, a game like that where you get into foul trouble and you have a big center or a superstar that could exploit the middle and also take you out and rain a few threes on you, yeah, that could be a problem for the Knicks without a doubt. And it's going to be tough going into the playoffs knowing this.
Hey, Kaluch, is it we're getting a lot of reports from different sports books around that the NFL is, the books are getting beat up a little bit with the team. A lot of the betting public just fading these bad teams, the Giants, the Browns, certainly the Titans, New England until last week when they covered against Buffalo. I mean, the Raiders and Jacksonville, they played each other last week. The Bears, a little bit of the Saints. I mean, is that the case where the betting public the last 3 or 4 weeks is cashing tickets, just going against these teams that look like they've just kind of given up?
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy, and it's a shame because now it is, nobody feels sorry for sports books, but this is one of the worst football years that I've could remember in the last 10 years for our hold percentage. But, you have to keep your eye on the draft and what's transpiring. Now you have several teams that are tanking, and then you have, the fans that actually backed it. So this is the problem with sports, guys. When you start to lose and you're not effective, you have all these fans here in Las Vegas that were bashing the Raiders for actually winning the game last week because now you fell behind the Giants in the draft order and position. So, when teams start to tank, it's never fun. It's probably the worst in baseball just because of the fact that, you have 162 games. So when a team is really, really bad, like the White Sox were, they don't put any effort forward. And, you're talking about 100 games, Jimmy, where they're not putting an effort forward. Here, it's 18 weeks. So, it's definitely under the microscope. You have so many bad teams. You kind of knew Houston was going to be really, really flat with the Dell situation. And, they just came out and had nothing to offer against a team that has a mediocre defense at best. And, as long as the Chiefs are playing at home, I can't see anybody beating them now. Naturally, Super Bowl's on a neutral field, so you have a little chance there. But this team is just firing on all cylinders. I don't care what Buffalo did in the regular season. Let's see if they can beat them in the playoffs. But, yeah, the books are getting beat up, and it's just because you do have all these teams. The drop-off is tremendous, even from the Cowboys to the Giants. We'll use that as an example. The Giants are just horrid. The Saints, I don't know what happened. A lot of injuries. Don't get me wrong. You guys were off to a tremendous start to the regular season, but came right back down to earth. And then you mix in a few of these other teams like the Browns, like you guys said, and the Raiders, and just teams that are tanking and are just horrible and looking for draft commodities. And, it's a deep, deep draft this year, so you could get a running back, you could get a quarterback, but unfortunately you could fade these teams, and it makes it difficult on myself, Chris Andrews, Vinny Maiulo, when you just have constant fading and so many games that have landed close to the number or on the number. That's when we get destroyed because the line moves and all the decision by the bettors is already made. So, you're pushing some action, say a game goes to 4, game lands on 4. You're pushing the 4 action, but think of all the moves in the market from the 3 to 3.5. Not all games just stay the whole 7 days at the same point spread. So, it's been very difficult on us this year. But, we take it in stride. As long as the handle's there, we know we're going to get ours. And it's good to see the customers win and have an angle once in a while. to beat the books, but we don't want it to happen too often, guys.
Hey, Kaluch. So you have the mobile. Y'all have the mobile accounts at Rampart and the Southgate. But you have to physically deposit the money at the shop. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how our mobile application does work. Yes, you have to physically put it in. Yes, without a doubt.
And how much of your handle is done mobily?
I would say less than 50%, and most shops have way more than 50%, guys. The problem is, we are a brick and mortar, and we love to promote. We want the clients to come in. We want them to make their wagers at the counter, and we want them definitely to, dabble in some slot machines, maybe the pit, maybe a food outlet. So we promote and give actually way better and higher limits at the counter, and Chris will tell you that. So if you come and see me, you come and see Chris, you're going to get way higher limits across the counter as opposed to on the mobile application at the Rampart and the South Point, and that's what we hang our hat on. We never use the 120 Vigorish or move the Vig.
Right.
That's another, commodity that we have here, and a marketing tool. And every $500 that you bet across my window, we're giving you one comp dollar at the Rampart. So that's fabulous from a sports perspective. And the horse racing, every $40 you bet, you get one comp dollar. You know I'm the king of horse racing managers out here in Vegas. I promote horse racing. Today's opening day at Santa. We got Gulfstream already fired up on the big screen. So, we have, unfortunately, we don't have a race app as of yet. Some of those companies have fallen by the wayside since the pandemic and have had a rough go of it. But, yeah, we do have the sports, and you have to bet inside the state, property line.
Well, all right. What are we looking at for these playoff games in college football? Penn State 11 over Boise State. Texas 13.5 over Arizona State. Oregon catching 2.5 now against Ohio State. So Ohio State and then Georgia a 2-point favorite over Notre Dame. Where's the money for these 4 playoff games this weekend?
Yeah, fabulous playoff games, and you can see how the money is going. I'll be honest with you. Hold on a second here. I dropped out. Yes, the money is going on Ohio State, guys. I'm sorry, my phone dropped out there. Ohio State was opened up at 1.5 here at the Rampart and South Point, and we're taking a plethora of money, 2.5. I'm seeing some 3s actually out there now, and that's a key number. So, yeah, everybody's playing Ohio State, but I definitely think Oregon has an excellent chance. They don't have to travel far. It's right in Pasadena. The Georgia game, very tough handicap. We're getting good two-way action there. Opened the game at 1. Now it's at 1.5 Georgia. We know the injuries, key defensive injury for Notre Dame, and key injuries on the offensive side of the ball for Georgia. So that's going to be a very, very tough game. Geez, I wish Arizona State had their stud wide receiver, because I would definitely be loving to take 14. We're at 13.5 now. So, we did have an initial push on Arizona State, but 2 touchdowns, that's a lot to give this Arizona State team, who has played very well this year.
That is a lot. The quarterback really played well in the Big 12 championship game as well. And Charlie, Arizona State and Clemson, I mean, kind of close this year, huh? Level of play?
There were some similarities.
Yeah.
Arizona State came on so much in the second half of the season. And, again, I go back to that one loss they had up at Cincinnati where they didn't have Levitt. Levitt played so well in the second half of the year. I know that Scatterboo had all of the headlines, but Levitt played really well.
All right, Kaluch, what we looking at in the NHL? Another profitable week for you last week, 2 out of 3. So that's 5 out your last 6 right on the show. Who we got today?
There is, unfortunately, no NHL, guys.
Oh, tomorrow. You got tomorrow's?
No LNA.
No.
I really didn't handicap it as of yet.
Okay.
I don't want to throw things out there. I'll shoot you a text so you can have my show tomorrow. I'll shoot you one definitely in the morning tomorrow, Jimmy.
Yeah, it looks like we got 8 of them tomorrow. So we'll, you've been hot. I mean, you got a horse pick for us today?
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely throw one out there at Santa Anita. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's go right to the La Brea. That's race 10 today. We're going to take a shot with Bob Baffert, and that's never a shot. You know how he is. Number 3 horse, Kinza, John Velasquez, tons of speed. This horse was second in the Santa Anita Oaks, actually won the San Isabel and the Las Virgenes. So this horse has won 3 out of 4 starts. Only defeat was in the Santa Anita Oaks, a grade 2. We're getting John Velasquez, the legend. You got 46-2 handily work on December 19th, which just shows tremendous fitness for this horse. He improved over 1 week from a 48-3 to a 46-2. He's going to be loose on the lead. It's going to be really tough to catch this horse. I think that this horse could definitely win the 10th race at Santa Anita today. That's number 3 with John Velasquez, Kinza, Bob Baffert. Definitely. And you have to return. Go ahead.
Kinza with a K. Kinza with a K. The 3 horse in the 10th race, like you said, on the La Brea, 7 furlongs, 11. It's $300,000 race. The thing about that, 8-1 Baffert horse in a big race in California, ain't no way he's going off 8-1. I mean,
no way.
No way. Probably like half that.
Return of the Kentucky Derby winner today, guys. In race 8, Mystic Dam returns with Brian Hernandez and Kenneth McKee. You know those connections from Torpedo Atlanta. So this is a stacked card today at Santa Anita. Gulfstream has a lot of action, and already I have tons of patrons in the race at Sportsbook. It's packed in here, guys. So let's get Baffert home today. Let's get Bobby B.
This Pittsburgh-Toledo game at 1 o'clock, this college football game at Ford Field, whatever, I think it's the game above. It's huge ramifications here because if Jimmy hits his pit pick, we tie for our handicapping contest for the year. And if he misses, I think I'm
down my starting quarterback.
Oof. Yeah, that'll hurt.
Out.
Pitt 6.5.
Follow Dwayne on Twitter at NYBookie Dwayne. The beat balls. Tell Mom to relax. Take care of Mama, man. She put it all in them hours in the kitchen, making sure all the boys are fed. Tell Mama Colucci we said Merry Christmas down here from the Bayou.
Definitely. You know I will, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to everybody in Baton Rouge. Let's make some money today, guys. Definitely.
Yes, indeed. Colucci with us each and every week at this time. Always a pleasure. Don't forget, at the top of the hour, we've got Matt Humans. And then Wes Reynolds is normally on with us Wednesday. He'll give us a first-hand report of South Bend, Indiana, for that Indiana-Notre Dame game last week. We remind everybody that our friends over at ElectricManBatonRouge.com. Electrical work is not do-it-yourself stuff at home. Figure it out. No. Installations, lighting, electrical safety. Lighting, you're looking for fast professionals conveniently set up good lighting for your home or your home office or your fixtures. Electric Man could provide additional security lighting, quality holiday lighting, or even wireless lighting to brighten up your interiors or landscapes. Give them a call at 372-5356. Electric Man and ElectricManBatonRouge.com.
Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Miami head basketball coach Jim Larinaga is about to step down. The 75-year-old has been at Miami since 2011. He's been to the tournament 6 times with the Hurricanes, who had I don't remember any real basketball history before him, or very little. 4 Sweet 16s and, of course, an Elite 8 and a Final Four run in 2023. We're kind of going through the list. It's pretty short and distinguished of guys that have taken two different teams to the 2 different programs to the Final Four. He went with George Mason back in 2006. I mean, this is a list of coaches. It includes Roy Williams and Rick Pitino, John Calipari, Bill Self. I'm sorry, not Bill Self. Eddie Sutton, Larry Brown, Hugh Durham. That was one I had forgotten. Jimmy took Florida State back in the early '70s to a Final Four.
Active one is Kelvin Sampson. That took Oklahoma and has taken Houston.
Huggy Bear, Bob Huggins,
West Virginia and Cincinnati. Yeah. So I mean, he's in some great class, man. All time. There's about 15 of them that have taken multiple teams, and I mean the George Mason run was fantastic. I mean it was a dud of a Final Four in Indianapolis. All 3 games were blowouts. That LSU, UCLA, George Mason in Florida, and then Florida blew out UCLA in the final. But man, their regional final against number 1 overall seed UConn was pretty damn good, and winning the whole time, and then I think they beat North Carolina in that regional in the first, second round as well.
That's right.
I mean, so they were. He's really, really fun to coach, and 75. I was kind of wondering just how much more he had in the tank.
Miami had made one Sweet 16 in the program's history before Larrañaga got there in 11. They have made 4 under him, including the Elite in the Final Four. Hour number 2, straight ahead from Los Reyes Mexican Grill, Nicholson at Lee. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's go out to Las Vegas, talk with our buddy Matt Humans, get caught up with him. Matt, how was your Christmas, bro?
It was good. Actually, the NFL game stunk, but I did not spend a lot of time watching those 2 games. And I hosted a show last night, so somebody's got to work on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at the network. So, I worked both days, but it's I don't mind doing shows on holidays. And that's, it's pretty good basketball games actually yesterday, so everything's cool.
It's funny. You're like me as far as the NBA regular season. Come on, man. If the players aren't, how am I supposed to get excited when the players don't even get excited about the damn games? So, but they all played, and man, the NFL games were such snoozers, and they were all good games. It just delivered. The big bully, the NFL came and kind of pushed them around, and I'm sure their ratings were fine. But no, as far as maintaining our interests, the NBA won yesterday.
Yeah, I thought the NBA actually put 5 pretty good games on the schedule, and they turned out that way. Even though I didn't watch them all start to finish, I watched a lot of them. That Lakers-Warriors game was a pretty good one. Nuggets Suns last night. Wemby yesterday putting up 16 threes, 6 of 16 from 3. You're going to hear some people complain, why is a 7-3 guy shooting 16 threes? But hell, he made 6 out of 16. And I think he had 18 rebounds in the game and 42 points. So that's a hell of a performance by him. I don't care a whole lot about the NBA regular season. I don't have time to handicap games on a daily basis or watch all the games. NBA ratings have been slipping. I think everybody knows why, the various reasons. But I also watched the Diamond Head Classic. 4 good college hoops games from Hawaii yesterday. That's one of my favorite holiday tournaments. And how about that Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve? I mean, you talk about a standalone game when there should have been more games on Christmas Eve. We got one game. The Hawaii Bowl is bet like the Super Bowl, and it turned into a Christmas Eve betting classic.
It was a little right from jump, man. It looks like San Jose State's up 7-0, but the ball is instead of a touchdown but he lost control of the ball, so it's a touchback. And then they have the kickoff return, and then they're down to the South Florida quarterback throws the pick 6, and that looks like that's going to decide it. But then the kicker, it was a little nerve-wracking. So trying to make conversation with sort of some holiday company, and then I really don't care about your kids' grades and stuff right now. I gotta watch the third overtime of this damn bowl game.
How many? How many guys were trying to put together a dollhouse, a toy of some kind, trying to watch this game, trying to make sure the kids are in bed while they're watching the Hawaii Bowl? That's a Hawaii Bowl tradition.
It was a classic. Were you on the right side, Matt? I was. I got lucky on that one.
Well, I had it's interesting because I sort of had the right side. I bet I had San Jose pregame, but there was so much sharp money and steam on the South Florida side. I actually live bet South Florida plus 3.5, and I had a chance to nail them both if San Jose wins that game by 3. But, of course, Coach Ken was not that bright. I tell you what, you talk about bad coaching decisions. That Hawaii Bowl had a bunch of them, and Coach Ken screwed that game up big time, but we don't have a lot of time to rehash that. That would have been a perfect result for me. Otherwise, it turned out okay with the South Florida live bet and whatever.
All right, Matt,
before we get to... Man, you're not going to win them all. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You try to have a lot of these or set up middles, and sometimes you got a scenario set up perfectly, and then they find a way to screw it up. But that happens.
Yeah, I got lucky right when they took us 7-0 lead and got plus 6.5 on San Jose State, and that thing was around for about 2 minutes, went to 4.5 quickly, and then steadily declines. No, I was lucky on that. I'll tell you what I hadn't been lucky on is trying to take these value. We'll get to college football in a second, but the value in these bad teams in the NFL. I mean, man, no, they can lay in this many points. Man, the books are crying right now on, that they're pulling for the Giants, the Browns, the Titans, the Raiders and Jaguars played each other. But, these bad teams, it's almost like they've turned into the Chicago White Sox for the book. And they're not covering for the most part. New England did against Buffalo, but that was pretty much it last week.
And a lot of times the bookmakers need one of those underdogs to win outright. And if they get one to win outright, they can have a pretty good week because they'll knock out a bunch of parlays, money line parlays, and teasers and things like that. But that has not happened since week 5 in the NFL. I was just looking this up right before your show. Favorites are 133 and 44 straight up. And that's remarkable, actually, record in the NFL where you're talking about you got so many tight games and games played close to the number. Games are close in the fourth quarter. 133 and 44 favorites straight up since week 5. And, I've been trying to avoid the ugliest dogs, like the Saints on Monday night, right?
Yeah.
Saints catching 14 and a half. Even the live number, when it gets up there around 24 and a half, I said, I'm going to have to pass. This team's showing nothing. And there's this, if you can avoid the worst teams in the league and try to bet the quality underdogs, usually you'll do okay. But even the quality underdogs are going to be getting beat up recently, like the Steelers on Christmas. A lot of times the Steelers 3-point home dogs are going to be a good bet. In fact, Steelers are 5-0 straight up in the underdog role until 3 weeks ago when they went to Philly and lost, went to Baltimore and lost, then lost at home on Christmas. So the Steelers have been exposed too. But I think that's one thing that some of the sharpest bettors always will do is play the ugliest dogs in the league because that's where you're catching the most perceived value. Numbers are inflated a little bit. I don't like to do that. I don't like to play the ugliest dogs, especially at this point in the season when those teams have kind of quit, mailed it in or quit. And usually if you can play some quality underdogs, you'll be okay. But, man, I know a lot of sharp bettors getting hammered in the NFL this season. I'm barely able to stay over 500 a little bit myself. I've actually had 2 good weeks out of the last 3. But it's been tough. Typically we're used to more underdogs hitting. And none of us want to hear the bookmakers cry about it. I've heard a lot of bookmakers crying and whining about the underdogs not hitting a lot. But, hey, the books are going to be open again tomorrow. And a lot of times when the bookmakers cry, what you need to know is when they say they're having a losing week, that means they're breaking even, right? So that just means they're not winning as much as they thought they were going to win on the NFL because it's typically a cash cow for the sports books.
That straight-up number is amazing, and that against the spread number since week 5, 56% against the number, a little over 56%. It's the highest number in 20 years. I mean,
you talking about just chalk?
Chalk against the number.
Yeah. Okay.
For 20 years.
ATS 56% for the season?
No, since week 5.
Oh, since week 5. Okay. Yeah. They cleaned up. They didn't tell us how many acorns they put away in the first 5 weeks. So
they would leave that out, wouldn't they?
Hey, Matt. So what happened? We're kind of a dog or a past player, but man, it was a slaughter in the first week of the college football playoffs. I mean. The SMU quarterback, Indiana, they can't afford, bang to bang, first down, red zone interceptions and 98-yard house run after that. But, man, I started to get on Ohio State and started to lay the chalk and went with the trend to try and save a little face. Did you survive the first week of the playoffs?
Yeah, I did. I actually mentioned this on our VSiN College Football Betting podcast last week. That I was concerned that the underdogs are going to play dead in the first 4 games because what you had was 4 of the strongest home fields in college football. We can all talk about this being playoff, but these are home games for Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, 4 of the strongest home fields you can find. And so, all those teams were at least 7-point favorites too, playing on their home field. I thought either Indiana or Tennessee would cover or at least threaten to win a game. I was not very optimistic about SMU or Clemson going into it, so I stayed away from those two. I did bet Indiana plus 7.5, Tennessee plus 7.5. I played that Indiana Notre Dame game under 52, and I also played 3 different combinations of money line parlays with the favorites, just in case, kind of as insurance, just in case the favorites swept the board. So boom, they swept the board, and it turned out okay. And sometimes you have to play it that way because I was concerned, on those strong home fields, that those dogs would come up flat. We see it happen a lot in the NFL playoffs. Everybody gets jacked up about, these are going to be great playoffs. And then you'll have 4 games in a weekend, and 3 of them are blowouts, right? So you can't be stunned. And actually what bothered me the most was the national media and the social media idiots commenting on what a downer and a bust the college playoff have been. Look, it's 4 games. It's 4 games played on campus sites. I thought they were great atmospheres. Just because all 4 games, or at least any of the 4 games, are not instant classics doesn't mean it was a bust. We still have 8 teams left in the playoff, and these are all going to be in neutral fields. So now I think this is when it really gets good.
I thought SMU had a chance. I mean, the kid by himself, but they weren't getting pushed around like Indiana was, up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I mean, Allaire is still, lacking, and I mean, this kid was just so out of sorts. I mean, they don't, and just they weren't tested, man. And I mean, they didn't play Miami, Clemson, or Notre Dame in the ACC till the conference championship game. But the kid was so bad. I'll tell you, put Klubnik on SMU's team that Saturday, I think they win. I mean, that guy balled. I mean, he was awesome. I mean, when you're getting outrushed, you're getting pushed around up front like Clemson was, and you're still hanging in the game. That's how good he was. And, hey, man, this just in. Home crowd's a big deal when they're right in college football, huh? So, and look, and still with all that, I would have liked more competitive games. We all would have, all right? But I'll take that over some bowl games. So, I mean, they're moving in the right direction. I love when college football pats themselves on the back with the promotions. That's historic. Right? Yeah, man, you're 75 years too overdue. So, anyway, who you got in these games? Because, here's a seeding where, man, here, boom, and I think they'll rework this. Arizona State and Boise, they're seeded higher than what they should be, and now you're seeing double-digit lines on those games.
Yeah, by the way, 2 of the bigger disappointments last week. Indiana coach Curt Cignetti coaching like a coward. How do you punt on 4th and 6 or 4th and 8 from the 36-yard line? Notre Dame's 36. And he had another cowardly punt later in the game. Talk about a guy who's bold and cocky and talks trash and then shows up and doesn't back it up. That was disappointing. And also, Tennessee, there's so much talk about Indiana didn't deserve to be in the playoff. SMU didn't deserve to be in the playoff. How about Tennessee? That looked like a team that didn't deserve to be in the playoff. And the Vols showed up, looked like they had no interest playing in the cold in Columbus last Saturday. That was a pathetic performance. I don't have strong opinions on these playoff games. I'm probably going to play Boise against Penn State. I know I've heard some handicappers or numbers guys on our network this week saying they made this number Penn State 13 or 14, whatever. This is still a Boise team that went to Oregon early in the year and lost by 3. I don't think the Mountain West was that good, top to bottom. But I do think Boise is legit, and I still got some questions about Penn State. So I'm looking at Boise as a double-digit dog for a few different reasons. Obviously, the Broncos also have a capable quarterback. It's not just Ashton Genty, and they're a one-trick pony. They also have a capable quarterback, and they can throw the ball a little bit. I think the defense can stand up to Penn State, too. So we'll see. That's one double-digit dog I kind of like. I'm lukewarm on Arizona State, even though Sam Levitt's going to be a future star, it looks like, a quarterback, and Cam Scatterbo's a stud running back. I think this may be where Jordan Dyson, the wide receiver, being out, that absence is going to hurt the Arizona State offense against this Texas D. As usual, everyone is on Texas in this game. Sharps, everyone on the Longhorns. Even though I'm not crazy about this Texas team, I'm probably going to stay away from that one. I bet Notre Dame to win the playoff at 12-1 and 10-1. And I'm not crazy about that. They're going to have to beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, even with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback. It's going to be tough. I kind of like under 44 in that game a little bit. I think it's going to be ugly, low scoring. I'd like to see the Irish win it, but right now I think it's kind of a coin flip game. And the other one is Oregon. Ducks are the top seed in the playoff, won the Big Ten, and I know you guys have talked about this on your show and everybody's talked about it. How do you get the toughest draw in the bracket? You got to play Ohio State now at the Rose Bowl when Penn State gets such an easier draw on the other side of the bracket. Oregon, the look-ahead line was 2.5. Oregon minus 2.5 at FanDuel and DraftKings. Now it's Ohio State minus 2.5. Is that an overreaction? I do think the Buckeyes straightened out their play calling. Chip Kelly and Ryan Day pulled their heads out of their butts and got their play calling right against Tennessee last week. And, the Buckeyes played loose. And now I think they're dangerous because they might have their swagger back a little bit. So I'm looking at this game a little bit differently, too. But I think the 5-point move might be a bit of an overreaction. We're still talking about the top team in the playoff with the most reliable quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, maybe the best coach in Dan Lanning, and a little bit of a West Coast location advantage for the Ducks. So I'm probably going to play Oregon. I want to see if I can get +3 on that game.
Speaking of Cignetti, too, he had that same loser mentality, kind of just avoid further embarrassment, not going for it against Ohio State as well. And then when you start to pile up and start to notice when, up 38-0 against Purdue, you're faking a punt. Okay, up 52-0, you got your starting quarterback, Rourke, throwing TDs against Purdue in that game. So, some of these things kind of, hey, look, Indiana's got the best coach they've ever had. Give them credit, but, all that bravado, man, come on, that's some Bush League type of moves right there.
No doubt. That's James Franklin bully type of stuff, right? You got a Purdue team that's quit on their head coach, and they're not even trying. They're out there just laying down and quitting, and Kurt Cignetti's out there trying to run up the score. But when he's in a game, when he's got to step up in class against Ohio State or Notre Dame, he's a coward. So I have lost some respect for him after that.
There you go. We'll share that with Wes Reynolds when next time we have him on. So, he was. How many fireballs did he shoot? Did he survive? Huh?
I think he survived. You know what, Wes? We had him on the show, and he said, he's not embarrassed by Indiana's showing. Obviously, the Hoosiers rallied late to make that score look a little bit more respectful. That was ridiculous what happened in the last few minutes of that game, going from 27-3 to 27-17. But Indiana's been a doormat in football for so long. I don't think West showed up there expecting to win that game, and just being in the playoffs is a huge thing for Indiana football. But you know what? You need a couple teams like that in the playoff. SMU, Indiana. It's not wrong to have a couple teams like that in the playoff. What's wrong is when you're giving buys to teams like Boise and Arizona State. That can't happen.
Yeah, I think they'll fix that next year. Matt, Merry Christmas, man. Happy holidays, and I guess we'll get when we get Wes on, we'll have him sing "Last Christmas." Nobody sings Wham! UK, George Michael like Wes Reynolds.
That's the truth. Okay. Merry Christmas.
See you, man. All right, Matt Humans of Beeson. Don't forget our friends over at Total Maintenance. My man, Lucas Ragusa, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. My buddy Lucas Ragusa and the great staff. He's got two whole different teams. He's got an office in New Orleans and a whole staff in New Orleans that serves just the New Orleans area. He's got another staff in office right here in Baton Rouge that serves nothing but the Baton Rouge area, so covering all areas of South Louisiana, but not compromising it as well. Hey, right now to the Jimmy Yacht special, half off diagnostics, including after hours, holidays, and weekends. So that is a great deal. And, one-time heater or AC visit, normally $179, is just $79 if you mention that you heard it right here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our membership programs are smart. They cover all services with discounts and extended warranties. We'll let you know when it's time for your unit to be serviced. So you can lower those monthly rates, extend the lifetime of your unit, Both things we're all good at. Everybody wants lower monthly electricity bills. Everybody wants. Nobody wants to, buy a new unit and replace it. That's expensive. So extend the life of them. Get that service check. It's like changing the oil in your vehicle. Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Thibodeau Store and ThibodeauStore.com. Now that we are past the Christmas break, we'll turn the page into 2025. You may be in line for some home improvements. You want to do a little updating. Well, let the experts at the Thibodeau Store and the Pierre Part Store walk you through every project. It's the kind of service you're not going to get at the big box stores, because if you're putting in a lighter, you're pouring a little concrete, you're doing some painting, a lot of times you can do these projects for yourself, save a lot of time and money, but not if you don't know what you're doing. Listen, I don't know what I'm doing. If you follow a YouTube video, but wouldn't it be a lot better to talk to somebody in person or over the phone that's going to take you through and make sure you're not buying supplies that you don't need or doing with procedures that are not going to work. So let the Thibodeau Store help you out. Again, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. Online, it's ThibodeauStore.com.
East, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
Last Christmas. Huh, Charlie? You do it? Can you do it like Wes Reynolds?
Last Christmas, I had the Hoosiers.
Wes. Holy Wes. How you doing? Wham, UK, George Michael, of VSiN. How you doing, Wes?
In our voice to be able to pull that off, unfortunately.
All right, give us the experience. I mean, you're at the first 12-team playoff game. The experience, not the result you wanted. But it's just Notre Dame is a stronger roster, and when you have an inferior roster, you can't throw a first down red zone interception and get housed the next play for 98 yards and expect to be hanging around a whole lot. Just give us how was it, though, being there?
The experience was awesome. Just to be part of the game that had that big a stake, that big a spotlight. It was cold. It snowed the night before. You're in a historic venue at Notre Dame Stadium. So the atmosphere and the experience was great. The result was not, and I think you hit the nail on the head there with the fact that you get the turnover early. And that was the whole key for Indiana. It's like, if you get off to a good start, then this team knows that they're going to be in a ball game for the full 60 minutes. But then you throw that red zone interception and then missed assignment, just kind of a missed angle, and Jeremiah Love goes 98 yards. Somebody was laughing at me the other day when I made the point. I was like, the run defense actually, except for the 98-yard touchdown, because they really did, only giving up 95 the rest of the game. But they just had better dudes, especially on up front on both sides of the ball. And that really materialized there. And Indiana was up against it. Once they punted with about 10.5 to go, down 20-3, that's actually I didn't even get to see the touchdown in the stadium because I left. I was like, okay, we're waving the white flag here. We're done. We know that we're the inferior team, but I can't complain about the season. 11-2, that's the best season in Indiana football history. So, very few complaints, even though maybe I wouldn't have punted down 20-3. I think when you're that aggressive and, you got all the bravado of Coach Signetti, which I love, by the way. I know everybody's kind of saying, oh, you deserve what you get. It's like, well, what is he supposed to be? Is he supposed to be in mild-mannered? You're trying to get a fan base pumped about your program and pumped about you as the head coach. You got to talk a little smack, but at the same time, you can't punt down 20-3 in the fourth quarter.
Listen. I mean, no, this is if you care about Indiana football. I mean, he gives you a chance. Okay, I mean some non-traditional powers, and you need an angle. You need a guy, but. And so he is by far the best that gives it Indiana a chance. Got him in this game. And it's a hard evaluation. Everybody wants to take one side or the other. But, I mean, they did look great against weaker competition. I mean, they did. I mean, they just beat them. But the one thing I'm a little bit like, is a little Bush League and a little loser mentality to me. And it's just picking. If I'm Indiana again, he's my guy. But I brought it up before, and that's the kind of the punting and to play close to avoid further embarrassment on the score. That was a little bit of the Ohio State approach as well, and we saw it against Notre Dame. But then the 38-0 fake punt for Purdue. I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing? So so you're caring about those lopsided scores being more lopsided both ways on the losing and the winning side of it. And that's just not, I mean, we're paying more attention to that. Is what I look at it. Having Rourke in there at 52-0, throwing a touchdown pass against Purdue. I'm sorry, Wes. You're going to have to play Purdue again. And I know you've been on the other side of a lot of them, but he's better than that, is what I think.
Yeah, look, I think so. I think that is at least a fair criticism of Coach Signetti, but I hated the fact that the result was what it was, just being a fan and an alum of the school, but also the fact that it gives everybody credence to say, see, Indiana doesn't belong. See, this team doesn't belong. But I felt like Indiana, because they were the standalone game on Friday night, got a little bit more of the scrutiny maybe than Tennessee did, where that game was over in 7 minutes. Like, that game was done at Ohio State. And I didn't see Kirk Herbstreit getting on there. He just said, well, Tennessee didn't play well enough to their capability. Not that, hey, they don't belong. But all these road teams that got blown out, look, that's what happens in the playoffs sometimes, because all 4 of those home teams, Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, had better dudes and were superior teams than the road team. And that's what happens. That happens in FCS all the time, where you got a team that's unseeded playing at North Dakota State or Montana State or somebody like that. And they're better than those teams. So I don't think just because we had 4 relatively lopsided, at least double-digit victory scores, that all of a sudden, the playoff, we just got a crap on it. Now, you could change the seedings in terms of who gets the buys. That's something you could do, and I think that they should do. But, I hated that. And I'm glad Joe Buck and Troy Aikman spoke up on Monday Night Football and kind of took up for the teams that took lickings this season that all had really great seasons that ought to be respected.
I know, but, and they did. And, I mean, Troy's an SMU guy. I mean, I know he went, but he's a Dallas guy. But in the same sense, Tennessee's position, their berth in the playoff was schedule-related as well. In the summer, when the league came out with their schedule, we're like, Tennessee, Texas, and Missouri, these schedules are light. Georgia, Florida, and Oklahoma, you got the screws. And I mean, it is what it is. What is Indiana's best win? I mean, it wasn't. I mean, SMU didn't play Clemson, Miami, or Notre Dame in the ACC. I don't know if I could protect a team in their conference championship game when they avoided the 3 best teams in the conference.
You're never going to. One thing I'll say is you're never going to change that until you go to like an 18-game regular season, and maybe they start this thing mid-July. If that's what you're going to do, you're always going to have imbalanced schedules when you've got 18, 20 teams.
Well, not always, but you can have imbalanced schedules when you have so many teams. I mean, and it's Rutgers didn't play. Purdue played all of them. Purdue played Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, and Ohio State. Purdue played none of them. Rutgers. So, on a lower level. And so, yeah, when you got 75 damn teams in a conference, it could be, But the thing about it is the SEC in their league, they set that up. They put this schedule together, this bridge 2-year schedule. And if that wasn't a big old smooch in the backside of UT, I don't know what you're thinking. So, anyway, and their schedule. I mean, what's up? A&M was their best win. And then Vandy? I mean, in the other 2 games, they lost against Georgia. So, I mean, it's just a lot of, it's hard. It's hard, and, I think in the end, I would have given the most consideration to South Carolina, who that road win at Clemson was a hard win. That was a quality win in front of a visiting fan base. That was a tough place to play, and it was a tough game. And I just thought when they were positioned just 1 or 2 behind Ole Miss and Alabama that they would leap them, but they were not going to do it.
No, because their problem was that Ole Miss and Alabama both beat South Carolina.
The Ole Miss win is way more decisive than the Alabama win when you had to avoid a 2-point conversion to win at the game at home. Way different.
That's fair, but if you want to take Alabama's side of it, they got to win over Georgia. So did Ole Miss, South Carolina. You know, we went round and round with those three teams for a month.
Right,
you know?
And it was close. But I mean, I can see. I don't just think it's one side. No, the SEC needs to be because the SEC never embarrass themselves. They embarrassed themselves Saturday night. I mean, they got smashed, man. That was they. So we'll see. Hey, look, I'll take the blowouts over no games and 8 less bowl games. So I'll take that. Who are we looking at?
I got to have that experience, So
yes.
I apologize to absolutely nobody, as Conor McGregor would say.
Hey, listen, and look, I saw California's quarterbacks after Mendoza, okay? Whether it was a regular season game against SMU or the bowl game where they've trotted out to 2 others, all right? Hey, my friends in Auburn are like, we are being outbid by Indiana? We are being outbid by Duke for quality quarterbacks in the transfer portal? What is going on? So that's the thing. You got the spark now. Is Cuban and some of these IU alums now going to try and give them a little player payroll that they can compete? So we'll see. And it looks like landing Mendoza is the start in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this guy I think is an upper level quarterback, and to be able to get him back and a couple of those good defensive starters are coming back. It's going to take a couple cycles, I think, to get that talent at least somewhat up to par. And it's never going to be up to par with the Ohio States and the Penn States because the big teams are always going to get all the toys. You just got to get your fair share to compete.
I just wish Rourke would have. I mean, it's first down interceptions are just cardinal sins. You got to, live to play 2 more downs, and that was not there. And he forced it. I mean, it was just, man, it could have been a little bit. The only chance it was him to stay competitive. All right, bowl games today, all through the weekend. Who's sticking out to you, Wes?
Yeah, a couple I did play. I did play a little bit of Toledo at 7. They're going to have the walk-on quarterback, but still don't know what to expect. So, not like a really big play for me. But one prop tonight that you maybe could play in the bowl in Mobile, the Ventures Bowl, Harold Fannin, the tight end for Bowling Green, who's going to be an NFL tight end. I think he's like double-digit receptions away from the all-time record. And I think Bowling Green may force feed him. So I saw a prop at over 9.5 receptions, about minus $1.30. That's something you could certainly play. So that's for today. For tomorrow, go Diego, go. I'm going with Diego Pavia one more time as an underdog against Georgia Tech. Why not? It served me well this year. So +3 on Vandy. Also in our Las Vegas Bowl, I'm going to take USC +4. If you remember last year when Miller Moss was the starter and everybody came in on Louisville and everybody bet Louisville in the Holiday Bowl, and then Miller Moss broke like the all-time Holiday Bowl record for touchdown passes. So I think USC might be able to do that again against Texas A&M. So I did take 4 in that one. And also took a little BYU. This is a little speculative. I took +4 against Colorado. I still have no idea who's going to play or who's not going to play, but I think you got a motivated team, certainly in BYU, as you get 2 Big 12 teams playing in the Alamo Bowl on Saturday.
All right, and Wes, who's your best NFL pick this week?
Oh, man, I hesitate to give an underdog with favorites like on a record, best in 35 years, and we saw 2 of them yesterday. But I'm going to go with the New York Football Giants +8 against my Indianapolis Colts. Colts have not beaten a team by 8. I think they've beaten one team by 8 points all year. I just, Anthony Richardson is still very young, and he's very talented, but he's still developing in a big-time work in progress. That is a big ask to lay that on the road. And the Colts, by the way, on Sunday, may know their playoff state because they still have a path, but not much of one, need a lot of help. But if Denver wins on Saturday, obviously Denver's in. The Chargers are also in a win-and-in situation. So they may be out, and this line may drop a little bit. So I'm going to try to take it at the apex and take +8 with the New York Giants.
Wes, great stuff. Follow Wes on Twitter at Wes Reynolds1. Glad you had a good time, man. You were able to experience that, and we'll see if Signetti can build on this little momentum that the program has gone. It'll be interesting. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Yes, indeed. Merry Christmas. Workbox, our friends over at Workbox, Martin Padial and all his great staff, movable storage needs, commercial or residential. Their shipping containers, custom storage containers come in all different sizes. Most companies come with just one standard size. Not at Workbox. You can do 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, or even 8x40 feet. You want a tool storage container for a job site? No problem. Custom lunch room, welders and plumbers can do custom work sites that they can build as well. Custom safety storage near the plants as well. Customize your part office or part storage. So with climate control, shelving, lighting, wooden or metal materials to use on it. Customize it to your needs or to your preferences. Shipping containers, again. Also, we have a home box for residential moving storages as well. Boy, it makes things just so much more convenient and functional as well. Workbox Services and WorkboxLLC.com, 343-4886.
Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return here at Los Reyes. I don't know how many people are going to be real excited about tonight's Seahawks-Bears game in the NFL. The Bears are out of it. They're playing out the string. The Seahawks need help to get into the playoffs. But I know at least 26 people in the world that will be glued to this game tonight. The Circus Survivor that we haven't talked about very much lately because we were eliminated early. But there are 45 entrants left on their Survivor pool, which started out at, what was it, 14,000, Jimmy? A little over 14,000?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for this, gigantic prize. 45 players left, and you had to play a team in what they call Week 17A, which was the Christmas games plus this game.
Right.
So you had 4 players eliminated with the Steelers, 1 player eliminated with the Texans, 11 players move forward with the Ravens, 3 players save the Chiefs for now. So you've got 14 players that are moving forward, and the other 26 are on tonight's game. 20 of them on the Seahawks and 6 of them on the Bears tonight at Soldier Field. So if the Bears were to pull the upset, and the Bears haven't won since Week 6, I believe it was, against the Jaguars. They lost that game to the Commanders on the Hail Mary the next week, and they haven't won a game since. But if they were to pull the upset tonight, Circus Survivor would be down to 20 and knock out the biggest chunk with 20 players on the Seagulls tonight.
Man, Geno Smith, man, you could beat him. I mean, boy, he is. He makes some bad throws sometimes, man.
God, Caleb Williams. As much as the talk has been about him, there's 2 things you can look at with Caleb Williams and say, okay, I can understand this. Number 1, 60 sacks. Okay, so he's been beat up, but Jimmy, he has not thrown an interception in his last 10 games. That's something you can build on. He's at least not making the gigantic mistakes. Not 9 games, excuse me. This would be 10. So he's at least not, putting the ball in harm's way when he's under a lot of this pressure. You get sacked 7 times like you did a couple of weeks ago against the Niners, and you don't throw an interception. That's something that you can build on. The last 5 weeks, he's thrown 12 touchdown passes and no interceptions. Now they're getting trashed, every week. But if I'm looking for signs of progress with Caleb Williams, I can at least point to that. Under intense duress, this guy's not just throwing the ball up for grabs every time.
Because your pressure is usually more responsible for the interceptions in your secondary.
Yeah.
And so, that's unusual. For him to be getting hit that much, and a young quarterback just not throwing it, to the other team. Like Gino, he gets pressure, he's throwing it away. To the other team. I know about that. That's the Hail Mary. They had one since before that. That started this losing streak.
They had won 4 out of 6 to that point, and
it's some bad teams, but then, obviously could have won that one. They should have won. They should have hit the short field goal against Green Bay. Okay, They're winning most of that game in the second half, and so it came down to a very short field goal, less than 40 yards, and it got blocked. That was one. We know about Thanksgiving Day, how they scrambled, but Detroit kept them hanging in the game more than they should have. But when they had their chance, they got the ball, field goal ties it, but a touchdown wins it, or they go into overtime. They're right there. Detroit barely hung on to that one, and so but their offense is just so against the Commanders. They scored one offensive touchdown. They didn't score against Arizona. They didn't score against New England. How about the stat when we were watching the game at Beau Rivage this past weekend? They scored at the very end of the first half. That was the first half, like in 10 games. The first touchdown was scored in the first half in or 12 games. What is going on? So we know that they're built they're constructed like a flag football team with no regard for the interior line play, and two receiver heavy, and without a whole lot of protection. But this is David Carr type of getting beat up.
I think he's 12 sacks away from what Carr got hit.
Well, and as a 16-game season, this will be the 16 games tonight.
Game, yeah.
So,
assuming he's not going to get sacked 12 times tonight.
But still, is that second?
Yeah.
Okay, only Carr has been hit, been sacked more than him. So
they ranked the jobs today, the expected openings in the NFL.
Okay.
They had the Bears job as the third best job.
Behind
Miami, if Miami opens, and Jacksonville, if Jacksonville opens.
Jacksonville, huh?
Out of the 9 teams, where do you think the Saints job ranked?
Ninth.
For all the reasons we've talked about.
Another, and that's a subjective poll, but it's just, I would 8th or 9th, yeah.
You got no salary cap room to work with. You got a general manager that, if you keep him, is likely to trade away draft choices, and you've got your quarterback of the future is not in the building at this moment. So.
Miss Gale's done so many good things, in the city with the organization, but this is something that's very close to her. And business and family you got to separate, and This is a business decision that has to be made, and until you make it, of getting rid of Loomis and bringing a new GM and trying to, because he's the most responsible currently in your organization. He's the most responsible for where you are. Yeah, you got 9 openings. You're ranked 9th. Okay, that is, you got to make a hard business decision, and until you do, this is another one of these various compromise organizations that is weak at the all-important position of ownership, quote a good friend of mine.
Yeah, there's never been a more important 6-week period since Tom Benson passed than what she's got. Football coach, football GM, to the NBA trade deadline. She's got 2 of the worst franchises in sports right now. She's got to make big decisions in the next 6 weeks.
Yes, indeed. So... Go to break.
Anything else you want to say?
Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Teddy Bridgewater retired after last season to coach his old high school team, Miami Northwestern. They won the state championship in Florida, Class 3A. And today, Teddy Bridgewater signed with the Detroit Lions to finish out the season. Little insurance policy for the Lions, who have Hendon Hooker, who we liked an awful lot at Tennessee, but's only thrown 9 passes in the NFL, to back up Jared Goff the rest of the way. Bridgewater's only 32. It seems like he's been with us playing football for a lot longer than that. But don't know what kind of shape Teddy's in. But he was as good a hole of rope guy if somebody got hurt as anybody. So see if
Teddy's the other guy. They all love him. Don't play him.
Everybody loves. Yes, exactly.
That's the guy we're trying to think of.
$71,000 per game for the last couple for Teddy Bridgewater.
I've seen Tennessee's offense without Hooker.
Yeah.
I don't think it was just a product of the system.
No, he was really good.
He was good.
Thanks to Los Reyes tomorrow. We're at Ruffino's. For Jimmy and Jordan, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.